Hi, I'm Vanessa Torres, and welcome to my podcast. Over the years, I've navigated through the highs and lows of life, rebuilt my life alongside my husband and two daughters when we left beautiful British Columbia and had to start from scratch in search of a better life for our family. I've struggled to find my own identity outside of being a wife and a mother. And like me, there's so many of us that are trying to find our purpose, have a voice, and simply try to be the best versions of ourselves. Join me on this journey to discover and become that woman you can be proud of. We'll peel back the curtains and discuss topics on lifestyle, marriage, motherhood, walking in our faith, and what it takes to reach the other side of fear, and so much more. Think of me as your girl having a glass of wine and deep diving on meaningful, raw, and unscripted conversations. This is the place where you can be fierce, bold, and unapologetic. This is That Woman Podcast. You're listening to That Woman Podcast, the podcast that helps women embrace the journey of finding self-purpose, growing their faith, and becoming the best version of themselves one day at a time. My name is Vanessa Torres, and I am your host. First off, I'd like to say Happy New Year, Happy 2025 to everyone. I am so happy to be back. I took a break much longer than expected, and I won't be diving too much into it. But long story short, I had a baby last year, and I have just been soaking in every minute I can with my baby girl, who is now almost 8 months. It's just crazy how time flies. And I've missed podcasting so much, and I'm excited to get back into it. So, for today's episode, I will share one simple hack that you can put into practice this year to help you remain focused and clear on any goal that you might have for yourself. But before I share this hack with you, if you haven't already, I want you to pause this episode and first take a listen to the 5 ways you'll grow this year when you tune in to That Woman Podcast. I have linked the episode at the bottom of the show notes for easier access. For those of you who have already listened to it, but it's been a while, I encourage you to go back and to listen to it again, because that episode is the roadmap you'll need to understand the purpose of this podcast, but most importantly, what you will gain by listening to this podcast. The 5 ways you'll grow when you listen to That Woman This Year episode is my number 1 most downloaded episode by far. You guys really love it, so thank you so much for tuning in and downloading it. And if you want to get the most out of this podcast in any future episodes, scroll on down to the show notes where you will find the link. It will take you less than 15 minutes to listen to it. And when you're done, you can jump right back in. Okay, now let's get back to the show. If you struggle with wanting to accomplish all the things and be efficient and organized, but you get so overwhelmed and have a hard time narrowing down a specific focus, then I think you're going to get a lot of value from today's episode. So what is this mysterious hack I keep referring to? The one simple hack you can start implementing is having a word of the year. Now, you might be thinking, Vanessa, that kind of sounds lame, but I promise you it is not. Having a word of the year benefits anyone who tends to get distracted and sidetracked as the year goes on. So, to understand how this practice can help you, I'll explain what a word of the year is exactly, what the purpose is of having one, and I'll break down the process I use to select a word of the year. I'll also share with you what my word of the year is for 2025. A word of the year is a practice that you can incorporate usually at the start of a new year, but you can do it anytime throughout the year. You pick a word that resonates with you, and it's a word that you want to focus on for the rest of the year. I want you to think of this word as a guide that will help you along the way. When you intentionally select a specific word, it will give you something that can provide clarity and direction on what you want to achieve for the year. It's also a guide for any intention you set. In moments of difficulty, or you feel lost or unmotivated, which we all know happens, returning to this word will keep you centered and grounded. Okay, so how do you pick a word and how do you know this is the right word for you? You don't want to pick any word at random just for the sake of having a word. You want to be intentional when it comes to choosing a word so that you have a connection and commitment to this word. Otherwise, you'll forget about it very quickly and it won't have the positive impact we want it to have. There are 4 steps that I follow when it comes to choosing a word of the year. The first step is reflect. At the start of every year in my notebook, I will write down what my goals are for that specific year and break them down into personal goals, financial goals, and career goals. You can break down your goals into any category you want and however many categories you want. However, I find that having 3 to 4 categories and only one goal for each category is the sweet spot. Throughout the year, I constantly go back to this list of goals I wrote down to remind myself of what else I need to work on. It's also at the start of every year that I will go back to this list and see what I was able to accomplish from the list I wrote down from the previous year and what I didn't accomplish. Another way I love to reflect is to go down memory lane and look at my photos from the past year and look at everything I was able to do and relive those memories. This is a great way to ground and humble myself by reflecting on the blessings I had throughout the year and to practice gratitude for having overcome the difficult moments and seasons. Doing these couple of things will provide you with the opportunity to reflect on how your year went, what can you celebrate, how and what can you improve for this new year. The second step I take to find my word of the year is to be present. By being present is that I allow myself to be in the moment, especially during prayer or meditation, and I give myself that space for whatever may come up to the surface. This can be feelings, thoughts, emotions, and by acknowledging these things to come up, it helps to give me more clarity and more peace. Choosing your word of the year should never feel stressful or forced. You need to allow God to work through you and feel in your heart what He's speaking to you. We can't do this if we always have so much on our mind and so many distractions, which is why intentionally practicing to be present and in the moment will help to lift that fog, so to speak, so that you can think more clearly. If you struggle to be still and sit still in silence, I can completely relate. Your mind just begins to wander and think of a million other things that you could be doing. It's hard to concentrate, and you might even feel guilty. You might feel guilty because you think you're not doing anything productive by just giving yourself that space. Believe me, I know that feeling all too well. So something else I do to help combat this is to visualize. By visualizing, you are keeping your mind busy but focused on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. What things do you want to experience this year? How do you want to feel this year? And so many times there will be a feeling or a thought that will come to you naturally during the process of visualization that will help you to choose that keyword. And it will help you to know exactly what your word of the year is based on what you have visualized. The third step is to listen and take your time. After you have reflected and taken the time to be present, it's normal to have more than one word come to your mind, and that's okay. Make a list of all those words and give yourself some time to pray and meditate on those words. Something really important to note when you're selecting your word of the year is that it does not need to be done in one day. You can keep coming back to your list and refining that list until there is one word you keep finding yourself that you keep coming back to. If that word brings you assurance and peace, then you know you have found your word. Trust me, you will just know and it'll feel right. Okay, and the last step in this process is to commit and review. You don't want all of that work you put into finding your word to go to waste just for you to pick it and then forget about it a month later. What I do is, once I have chosen my word, I will go to Pinterest, type my word of the year, and look at some cute inspirational pictures or definitions of the word I chose. I will print a few off and put them on my vision board or prayer board. If you don't have a vision board or a prayer board, then I highly recommend you start one. Especially if you're more of a visual person like me, then you'll really enjoy being able to physically see and be reminded every day of all the goals and dreams you want to achieve. I will also go back to my notebook where I wrote down all my goals for the new year and write out what my new word of the year is. I try my best to review my word of the year along with any goals for the year every month. Now, real talk, guys, do I actually review my goals and word of the year every single month without fail? No, of course not. I'd be lying to you guys if I said I did. But something I like to do to help me to remember to at least stay consistent in checking is to put reminders on my calendar. If you can do it every month, all the power to you. But if that's not realistic for you, then you can add a reminder to review your goals and word of the year every 3 months or every quarter. Give yourself a notification reminder so that a week or even a few days leading up to when you set your reminder, you get that extra reminder. Listen, guys, I am an extremely forgetful person as it is. And now with my new mom brain, I need reminders for my reminders, okay? So doing this will really help you to commit to your word for the entire year. And finally, the last thing I want to share with you guys is the word of the year that I chose for this new year. And hopefully that might kickstart and inspire you to choose a word for this new year. All right, so my word of the year for 2025 is vulnerable. And I wanted to read a couple of definitions that I found over on Pinterest that really spoke to me. The first one says, vulnerability is terrifying. The courage it takes to reveal your heart is one of the most daunting yet rewarding experiences in life. It will set you free. And the other one says, vulnerability is consciously choosing not to hide your emotions and desires from others. Vulnerability frees me up to share personal stories that others can relate to. Vulnerability sparks conversations that allow me to move beyond fear to a place of shared experiences. So those two quotes right there basically sum up why I chose that word. It's funny because I originally had another word I had chosen prior to this one. But like I said before, you have to really feel committed to it. And if it doesn't feel right, and if you feel like you're having to force yourself to make it your word of the year, then it's not your word. However, this one, the moment I came across it, I just knew, I felt it right away. And I said, this is it. This is my word. This is what I believe God is wanting me to focus for this year. Last year, my word was surrender. And it was definitely a year of surrendering everything to God, especially things that are out of our control. And interestingly enough, surrendering also taught me that I needed to not be fearful of what was going to happen. And I think that that kind of ties in to being vulnerable because you are literally open and exposing yourself really to anything that might come your way, any challenges, any hardships, anything. And you have to be okay with just letting it flow, letting it be. And looking at it from a more spiritual perspective, I will definitely say that we have Jesus to look to. Jesus is the perfect example of what being vulnerable is just being who you are without being afraid of what others might think. Now, I'm no Jesus, but I'm always pursuing to be like him and be more obedient to God's will. And I think being vulnerable has a lot to do with that as well, in where I am opening myself up and allowing God to take over, take control, and let Him work through me. And so, in a nutshell, that's what the word vulnerable means to me. And that's what it spoke to me, and it spoke to my heart. And to finish off the episode, I would like to ask you a pondering question for today, or you can even use it as a journaling question if you prefer. And my question is, what fear in your life is currently holding you back from unlocking your true potential? What fear in your life is currently holding you back from unlocking your true potential? I would love for you to share your answer with me. If you'd like to share, you can send me a message on Instagram, or if you're feeling very brave, then you can tag me on a story or a post. If you know anyone that would find this episode helpful, please share it with them. Thank you again for joining me today. My name is Vanessa, and remember to keep striving to be that woman you can be proud of. See you in the next episode. We finished already? Where did the time go? If you want more, be sure to follow this podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they're released. I'm curious, what was your biggest takeaway from this episode? What resonated with you the most? I'd love for you to let me know by leaving a review. Reviews let this platform know that amazing listeners like you enjoy the show. You can also come hang out with me on Instagram at Miss Vanessa Torres or at that.womanpodcast. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week.